listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast trial lawyers Neama Rahmani.
In the ever-changing world of the Delphi murders case, well, there's more ever-changing going on as we continue to wait to see what exactly is going to happen with Richard Allen, with his attorneys being withdrawn from the case last week. He's still sitting in a solitary confined jail cell in a prison, waiting to see what exactly is going to happen, as certainly this will delay anything further in the case for quite some time. Joining us to discuss, Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor. Neama, it's been very interesting. It seemed last week there was a lot of pressure from the judge to his defense saying, time to go. And we've talked about that a little bit. Can you expand on that a little bit about what would have likely happened in closed chambers there, where his attorneys were essentially kind of forced out after some of those leaked documents?
Well, ultimately, it doesn't matter if it's the lawyers themselves or their staff. I mean, the buck stops with them. They are responsible for the conduct of, their employees, and folks that have access to evidence that's subject to a protective order, evidence that may have even been under seal. It can't be leaked to the public. And now Richard Allen has a direct claim against his lawyers for either malpractice or a civil claim. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hurt his case. The reason the defense doesn't want this information out there is that it can taint the jury pool. So when your own lawyers are allegedly responsible for something like this, Richard Allen has a claim against him and is an actual conflict. So that's why the judge says, hey, you guys got to get off. There has to be new counsel. And just another twist and another bizarre chapter in one of the strangest cases that we've been following here for years now. I'm sure they're going to make many movies about this one.
And the timing also very odd. And I'm not trying to go in conspiracy road on this, but I think it's worth discussing a little. The fact that we were about to likely get to a Franks hearing, and there was likely going to be some not too good information coming out against Tony Liggett and some of the people on the police force there as far as lying about evidence. And we'd been talking about that up until now. It seems we're just about to get there. Then suddenly this. And I was talking with defense attorney Bob Mata the other day, who is actually in the courtroom. He got in there and he was able to witness this. And he said Liggett and his crew went in and sat in the jury box during this hearing, looking very foreboding. I mean, it's like something out of a movie at this point with what we're seeing. Now, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy or that they had anything to do with this, but I don't know how to take the verbiage that was used for the photos being leaked and the other leaks that have come out of his defense office, because it was very generic. A friend came in there and took this out. Does that not strike you as a little bit odd or suspicious, or is it a friend that knew maybe they could make some money somewhere if they leaked this? Is that a common thing that one deals with in the world of law? I mean, obviously there'd be certain cases where people would have a motive to do so, but I mean, is it common in any way, shape, or form?
It's not common, Tony. And, if you're a doctor or you're a lawyer and you have access to confidential information, and it's your job to keep that information confidential. Now, obviously, we know that hacks happen and leaks, and we have all gotten emails, saying that, your personal information has, been unlawfully accessed. So, it happens. Obviously, this is a unique case in that we're dealing with a cold case that really took a twist when Richard Allen was arrested in general. And obviously, the whole Odinism thing and these allegations against law enforcement officers and correctional officers. And now you have, reportedly a friend or a series of 3 people who access this material, one of whom is dead because of a suicide. And I mean, people are asking questions like, how did this happen? And, who's really responsible? I mean, but at the end of the day, whether it's something to, discredit the defense lawyers, or it's just, good investigative work by, podcasters. At the end of the day, there's a problem here between the lawyer and the client. And to protect the client, even though the client may and probably does want to keep his defense team, the judge really has to appoint a new lawyer. Because, look, if Allen's convicted, he's going to want to point the finger at his current lawyers. I mean, that's just going to be a claim right there. Mm-hmm. So he needs to preserve that claim. And the only way he can do so is by having a new lawyer.
Is that what is best for him, in your opinion, at this point? Of look, they took you down this odinous route already. Who knows if they should keep doing that or not? But it seems they're very passionate about trying to fight for his innocence. And granted, if lead lawyers and such really had nothing to do with this leak, they really seem to have his best interest at heart. But yeah, if the office can't seem to maintain the leaks from getting out, that certainly is a big problem. We just saw recently, and a lot of filings that were taking place today, including a verified notice of continuing representation and a motion to disqualify by Brad Rossi. Can you explain what that actually means?
Yeah, well, I think his lawyers want to stay on the case, even when the judge, what we thought was going to be the Franks hearing. I mean, all the members of the media were there. They were waiting outside for hours. The seats were at a premium in that courtroom, and it really went in a very different direction when the motion was continued, because the judge said, Richard Allen, you need to find a new lawyer.
Yeah.
We need to find you a new lawyer. It's going to go back to the public defender's office. So I don't know what is going to happen. I think the safe thing in a case like this is for the judge to insist on new counsel, disqualify the lawyers, give Richard Allen the time. Look, and the new lawyers, they can take this Odinism argument, they can run with it, they can go in a different direction. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different ways to defend this case, but I think given the leak, and even though the lawyers may not have been personally responsible, they might not even have known about it. They might have found out about this when we did. But again, the responsibility always lies with the lawyer, and that's what we're dealing with here.
We'll see what happens every day. It's a new winding road to go down.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.